focus of my keynote was, first of all, to welcome the audience, and then I gave some highlights of the IAB accomplishments in the last year. As the incoming chair, I was happy to recap some of the highlights for the year. And then I focused on 4 areas of growth that I could see for the industry in the months and years ahead. And first I focused on this area of the mobile web and tablets and the great opportunities that are being created there. There's a lot of hysteria right now about subscription models, and my message was to chill. There's going to be a lot of new models that will emerge, new storefronts, new ways to charge for content, new opportunities to engage with customers. And so the idea is that we should all be excited about this and embrace that. In fact, IAB has started the Mobile Marketing Center of Excellence, so a lot of things are coming together in the mobile space. And of course, Eric Schmidt later spoke about the importance of that. I think we're all in that experimentation phase right now, for sure. It's a time of lots of experimentation, both on the end user engagement side, which actually is the most important part right now. How do we get users to how do we create apps and browser-based experiences that users really want and embrace? And then the ad piece kind of falls after that. First you have to get the audience, then the advertising. So, I moved on from there to talk about the imperative to innovate, especially for traditional media companies like mine, that we're sitting in a room with all these great ad tech firms and technology firms, and there's a lot that we can learn from that, and the spirit of innovation and really jumping in and being more assertive about competing in the markets in which we operate and not conceding all that to third-party companies that come in and traditionally take big chunks of markets away from traditional companies. So, and then my third point was around the area of B2B. A lot of the companies represented by IAB have B2C facing properties. But B2B is actually, by some estimates, anywhere from 10 to 18%, depending on who you talk to, of online ad spend. And then there's a whole nother level of so-called below-the-line services that they're not really measured. So if anything, the importance of B2B in the online ecosystem is understated. And so I kind of gave props to B2B and talked about how we could learn a lot from B2B because they have deep relationships with their communities, very vertical content strategies, great targeting, deep permissions with users. So lots to learn there, and IAB is actually doing a lot more programming in that regard, and more submissions to like our Mix Awards and things like that. So I'm very encouraged by that, and I think and I'd love to see much more of the B2B representation within the IAB ecosystem. Again, this theme of the conference is ecosystem. The theme of my talk overall was about how do we grow the market? Where do we grow from here, essentially? And so B2B is one element of that. And then finally, I brought it back home and talked about the urgent need to really work towards moving more brand advertising to the internet medium. The eMarketer says that, my back of the envelope math of eMarketer data says that there's about $6 billion in 2010 that could have been earned on the internet if we had the same revenue per user as, say, television had. So all the things that we're doing at the IAB and among the member companies, making measurement make sense, creating ways to compare reach on TV and online, new ways of syndicating video, all the things that we're trying to do to engage with users, all this stuff collectively, and I can go on and on about this, these are the things we need to do to work as an industry together to move more brand advertising over, and that is certainly a way to grow the industry. So those are really the 4 points that I emphasized in my keynote address.
On that last one, what do you think is causing the gap? I mean, it seems like what you're saying is in the same way that in the 60s up through today, women say, hey, for doing the same job, I'm paid less. You're saying average revenue per user from advertisers is less online than on TV, which doesn't seem fair.
It doesn't seem fair. But you know what? As an industry, we have to do a better job of reducing the friction, right, to make that migration happen, right? And so you're seeing lots of innovation with video and lots of great new ad units and things that will facilitate that. But beyond that, again, it's about measurement and making sure that marketers know that when they, because it really is a share shift in the end, right? The marketing budgets are not growing at double digits. So the reality is that money will come from somewhere. And so if it's going to come from TV, that is kind of the default place right now for so-called brand marketing dollars. And I think that you'll see if we can create a measurement standard that enables us to do comparisons, I think that'll help a lot and really prove how online engages users, not just through viewing of ads, but through all the means of social media and engagement and the ways that we really interact with end users. And I think we'll see, my bet is that we'll see that the interactive medium is a great way to convey a brand message because of the depth of that relationship with the end user. With my company, we have hundreds of sites, B2B sites, that are against specific audiences, very targeted. We have a premium ad sales team that goes out and sells very high CPM advertising and also lead generation, which is a big part of B2B. In the B2B space, there is definitely a role for networks and exchanges. We have a third-party ad network at our company, and we work with a lot of B2B publishers that have extra inventory. And we apply the same thinking that we do to our owned and operated sites, which is we know this category. We have depth of relationship with the end users. We understand the content channels that work. And so any of the third-party partners, these other B2B sites that work with us, we sell that inventory and we sell it at higher CPMs than some of the broader networks, some of the more horizontal stuff. And then we've just also introduced an exchange, the IDG Tech Media Exchange. And so to the extent that publishers want to move inventory through RTB, we'll have those capabilities. My bet is that with the layer, the category layer, and the vertical nature of what we're doing, that will drive even higher CPMs. So I think that more and more B2B inventory will move more into these kind of vertical networks, and I think it's better suited for that than say some of the broader horizontal stuff. Just like in the network space, you'll have vertical exchanges that are very category focused, because you do need that so-called domain expertise, right? So in our category, the computing and telecom category, again, we understand the sites that are top quality, okay? We vet them, we understand, the dynamics of advertising on those sites. And so, when we come and present that to marketers as a highly focused, very targeted thing with all the sites blessed and vetted, and I think that category layer will ultimately drive more value for those publishers than if they just pledge their inventory to a large horizontal exchange that had, very broad targeting. I think certainly the vertical, there's going to be everything moves vertical in the end, right? I mean, and so I think you're going to see exchanges become very vertical.
So it seems like the other publishers you're working with are probably smaller players in the space where you're bigger and you can afford to build out
Exactly.
an exchange and help them fulfill inventory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have about 450 sites. Many of them are small. They don't have sales representation. And
That are not owned by you.
Not owned by us. Yeah.
Okay.
And yes, and we introduce them to the top advertisers that we have relationships with, and we'll include our third-party network in programs that we do at IDG, and so they'll benefit and draft off of that. So yeah, for sure, we're leveraging our category leadership to be able to help bring more premium dollars to these vertical sites. There's really only one other third-party network within a first-party publishing house that I actually know of, and that's the Jumpstart network in the auto space, right? So they have Car and Driver and Road and Track, owned and operated, and then they've got a network. It's hard to actually find examples of kind of a first-party publisher owning a network. They're always debating about whether or not to join networks, but our philosophy is start your own. You really want to control your destiny, and if you really want to have that direct connection in your category, then you should jump in and launch. So we've been very aggressive about our network, our exchange, and it's just a strategic view that you have to actually have that direct relationship with the marketers in your space. And there aren't all that many coming from so-called more traditional media companies. The one example I gave you is Jumpstart. Our expertise is in dealing with audiences and advertisers. So we do leverage a lot of technology from partners. But there are areas like lead generation, for instance, where we've built a very state-of-the-art platform within our company that enables us to score and nurture and revisit with those leads and make sure that those users are getting the information that they need, and then giving them webcasts and white papers that meet their needs. And so as we've built that business, for instance, we've just built out a very significant platform, because we were basically leveraging a lot of outside technology for that, and we said, no, this is a huge business for us. Let's build our own. And, that's an example of a real vertically integrated approach to a hot space, lead generation. Ad technology solution providers should have white label or ASP versions of their platform that they can use to partner with publishers, so that publishers can make it their own and really drive value in the category in which they're experts. That's a win-win for the publisher. It's a win-win for the ad tech company.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Just
You want more?
Yeah, that's good. Can you think of another one?
For the ad tech.
Or let's expand it. How about for advertisers? Tell me one thing you want to tell advertisers.
Just one thing I want to tell
I
advertisers.
mean, it could be two.
Right. No, I think that advertisers should, I think that there's a tendency to view everything in terms of traditional performance metrics. And when you actually look at a lot of the innovation that's happening and a lot of the efforts that we're making to attract more brand advertising, I think marketers need to think beyond the web space as a pure direct marketing platform, and work with us to really help engage with users in ways that are beyond the click.
So are they valuing it, or do you foresee them valuing it more as a branding exercise, or is it still like 99% direct response?
We have a lot of work to do to work with top marketers to really help create a brand experience for them on the web.
Okay.
That's the challenge of the industry right now. We're trying to create new measurement that will enable us to be able to satisfy that need for measurement, which is, in the digital space, it seems logical that there should be ways to measure, even for around brand metrics. And so we are trying to satisfy that need for metrics, but at the same time, you have to take a little bit of a leap. There's a little bit of art with the science, right? And so it's about developing great creative, about really being expansive about how we leverage social media, and really exploring new ways to engage with end users. There are marketers that are experimenting with us, and so I don't want to make it sound like there isn't that leap that they are taking, because certainly we have marketers. We're in a category at IDG, which is the tech media category, and some of the most aggressive and the most experimental marketers that are in the tech space, that are comfortable with digital, they're always challenging us to take budget and really do creative and interesting things with it. There are certainly marketers that are willing to take more of a risk and really rely on more abstract values, but the reality is that the majority expect some level of clear return on investment.